You know what? I'm going to run and get my water.
Okay.
Just in case.
Please. As I always like to say before I get into this, I have researched this, researched her, but I am not an expert. So you had asked for Rihanna. So, you know, if anybody knows anything about Rihanna, or I'm giving misinformation, please let me know. And please feel free to add any information, any questions. Julie knows I love questions. So, yes, Rihanna in the Dark Goddess series. So, before we get way into it, I always like to take the time to invite the goddess that we are discussing. So, if we can just be mindful of our breathing. Oh, that's nice.
Wow. Okay.
Welcome to the country, Virginia. Just kind of where you are, just kind of really ground yourself, ground your spirit, center. Listen to the love that stirs. Lady Rhiannon, great lady of the moon, teach us the way of the white horse, that we may journey on the paths of this world with clarity of purpose and the strength of heart, holding fast to the sacred center of our inner truth, even in the face of hardship and injustice. Rihanna, we welcome you. We invite you here. We welcome you here. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Right, so the goddess Rhiannon is the Celtic moon goddess born on the first moon rise. She is the divine queen and goddess of fertility, rebirth, magic, transformation, beauty, aesthetic inspiration, and poetry. And she's also known as goddess of the fae, goddess of the fairies. She manifests as a beautiful young woman, dressed in gold and riding a wheel horse, surrounded by singing birds. Now these are magical singing birds that have the ability to either wake spirits or grant a mortal sleep. And I did not say what kind of birds, it just said singing birds.
Rooster, perhaps?
No. Not a rooster.
Really?
Definitely not a rooster. Okay, now I tried to find out how to say these names correctly. P-W-E-L-L. Well, maybe? Well. So, the way it happened is, I told Leon this story last night. So, Puel was a king. And he was out riding
Typical bird.
his horse, and he saw.
Can't have that.
I want it. It's shiny and fine. So the King Puel was out riding, and he saw Rihanna, this beautiful woman dressed in gold, riding this white mare. So he gives chase. And they're just going and going and going and going and chasing, and he finally catches up with her, and he said, "Why didn't you stop?" She said, "You didn't ask me to." So, but they end up getting married, and then they have a son together. Well, one night there were 3 nursemaids. All 3 nursemaids fell asleep one night in the nursery. And they get up in the morning, and the king's son, the most favored baby boy, is gone. So, of course, they got to figure out how they're not going to be blamed for this. So, they take blood from a puppy, and they smear it on Rhianna's lips. And they tell the king that she killed the baby. Rhianna, the queen, killed the baby and ate it. And without batting an eye, I guess, the king said, that's it. That's what happened. So he sentenced Rhianna to sit at the gates of the kingdom for 7 years. And anyone who approached her, even though she never did this thing, she's grieving the loss of her son. She's grieving the loss of her husband because he's turned on her. And anyone who approaches, she has to tell them that she killed and ate her own son. And then, whoever that person was, she had to carry them on her back to court. So, this goes on for about 7 years. And then found guilty, she had to carry him on the back. Now, there's a beautiful mare, and I'm not going to be able to say this name either. Teyronon. I'm not very good at Celtic. Teyronon, maybe? Teyronon. He had a beautiful mare that gave birth every May Eve. And every May Eve, something stole the mare. So he decided to go out into the barn, and he was going to wait.
So I thought it was the baby was missing.
The baby's still missing, and now we've also
No, I meant the I thought it was the baby that the mare had,
yes, you're
not the mare.
right. You're right. Thank you. The mare's baby. There we go.
Colt.
Would come up missing.
The colt.
So he goes out and he's going to wait to see what's happening. And he sees this huge claw reaching through the barn. And he chops off the claw and he goes running out the barn to see what this thing is. And of course there's nothing there. He comes back in the barn and there's this baby boy. And the research I did list him as a baby boy, not as a 7-year-old boy, not a baby boy. So him and his wife, the farmer, you're really making me regret my decision. They adopt the baby boy, but he soon starts to figure out, hey, this baby looks a lot like our king. So he takes the baby back to the king. Rhianna is exonerated from her sentence, and all was well in the kingdom again. So that's kind of the situation, the dark situation that Rhianna had to go through, that gives her the attributes that when we're in certain situations would make us want to work with or reach out or call upon her. So what Rhianna can teach us is that with truth, patience, and love, we can create change despite how desperate our situation may seem. As I'm getting and I didn't really read this, but I'm getting the understanding that she took all this in stride.
Yeah.
Just didn't kick, didn't scream. It's like, okay, fine, lost
When
my
I
son.
was looking it up, I just lost my train of thought. Rhianna, the reason why she was like from a fairyland.
Mhm.
All right. she wasn't one of them.
Okay.
And the people, so that's why the king, gave her that punishment. But she took it even though she didn't have to. She had the powers to not have to sit at the gates and carry people and tell her story.
Mhm.
So, anyway.
So she's more of like a magical creature.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it did say that she was queen of the fairies,
Right.
so
Right.
she could have some be fae or have some fae capabilities. Yeah, she probably could have just poofed.
And even though,
Poof.
and her horse, even though when he first saw her, even though he was galloping, she was, of course, faster than his horse, and it appeared like she wasn't even galloping at all. It was just a easy stride. So,
Uh-huh. But he couldn't catch her.
right.
Nice. So yeah, again, she had the ability to not accept any of this,
Right.
and she chose to accept it. And through that behavior, she's saying, if you're kind of the quiet and still, a lot of times when things happen to us, what is the first thing we want to do?
Yes.
Not today, Satan. But her response was very different from that. It was, no, I'm just going to be still, and I'm going to let this work itself out. Now that's something I hugely struggle with. It's just we're gonna let it flow. We're gonna let it play out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be fine.
Truth always comes out.
hmm Whereas I'm, right up there, shield and
Yeah.
sword. I'm like, oh no, ba 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 ba. And there is something to be said for not kicking the bricks.
Yeah.
Let it work itself out. Most times, fighting it and coming to your defense or whatever just seems to make it worse.
Well, it's kind of like, let's say she did, she would never be proved that she didn't do it. Sometimes when we're hiding something, we fight all the more.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
we argue.
I think thou dost protest too much. Exactly. Gently but firmly, the Goddess Rhiannon understands what it means to suffer unspeakable loss and unjust punishment, and still stay true to our personal self-power and authenticity. And in the end, with faith in ourselves, we will obtain what we most desire. So just kind of being that silent witness.
This makes me think of the mothers that have a baby, a stillbirth. The baby has died a very early age, 6. They've lost their babies just like she did.
Yeah, because she lost her baby and lost pretty much everything else. Her husband, her standing, her
But
everything.
she was still considered the queen. So
Just the queen at the gate.
the queen that carries everybody like a horse.
Yeah. So again, that just goes, and it kind of makes me think a lot of kind of like it has really much a Buddhist tone to it.
It kind of explains to sort of what I'm dealing with right now. My loss, and I'm just settling back and just seeing where this path leads. But I lost my baby boy 3 weeks ago. That's what, I was 16. But anyway, to me, yeah, he was everything. So it's like I'm on a new path now, and it's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just seeing where it leads.
Right.
Just sitting back and just seeing where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And just sitting in that authenticity of
Yeah.
yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially in
So I kind of get what that's talking about.
Mm-hmm. And then in an accusation, kind of point of view, it's like not really. I think of Christ when he was before, his trial. He was like, "What am I going to say to you?
Right.
What am I going to say to you that's going to make any difference?
Exactly.
Other than, make myself look like I'm frazzled or I'm not authentic and, of course he knew where that path was.
Right.
So, but, and then to kind of reference a silly movie, Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah.
He's, Robin Williams' character,
Yeah.
he's teaching. He took over that class because he wanted to meet the girl, but he's trying to teach them all English. And the one guy is, I think that's just my neighbors. Oh gosh, they're all in there. Mormon family. How many can we get in here? They're precious though. Love them to death. But he's trying to teach the guy to be like, assertive. And he's like, okay, so I spilled my soup on you. What do you say? Nothing. So he just keeps upscaling. He's like, and I'm stabbing you with forks, and I'm stabbing you, and what do you do? And he's like, I'm waiting to die. I mean, it was kind of done in a funny way, but and that's kind of to an extreme. But there's something.
It's funny that you bring that up because every time somebody has messaged me, how are you doing? How are you holding up? I've been telling them, good morning, Vietnam. I hadn't even thought about that. It was just past couple of months the response, good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Are you really okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
But there's something to be said for when you're in that silence
Yeah.
and when you're in that authenticity, the power that you feel, the energy that you're saving, because when we're ranting and raving and doing this and trying to make it right and trying to fix it and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, we're not seeing the forest for the trees. We're not seeing how we should be addressing this issue, and we're expending all this power and energy that's not in the right place.
Yeah.
So, there is something to that, just be still. Be still. And that's what she did. And then, teaching us to keep faith in ourselves.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think she sat there and had given up.
Yeah.
No.
No.
She was giving it time.
Yeah.
And she teaches us that we have the power to choose our true nature over learned fears. Oh, that one. When I saw that one, I was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. Winner, chicken dinner. I have a lot of stuff that happened to me in my past, and I've been working through not understanding what is a learned trauma response and what is my personality. What is me and what is from that? And how do I separate that so that isn't constantly how I'm my thought process, my reactions, my problem solving. So I just have to read that phrase again.
So like you don't have old tapes constantly running in your head.
Yeah, constantly playing that same movie for every new situation.
Yeah.
You cannot heal because you're not addressing things differently if you're still addressing them with that mindset of what happened way back when.
Yeah.
So, I need to stop calling these things, oh, that's just my personality. that's a response. Responses can be changed. We can change how we respond. So we have the power to choose our true nature over learned fears. He's going to memorize that one because when Shelley gets crazy, when the crazy happens, this is the man who has to deal with it. So he's going to be like, Shelley, we have the power. We have the ability to transform ourselves and our lives. We have the ability to move from loss to redemption. I just want to hug this and just all that in here right now, please. So it's a process, and we constantly have to evaluate when we're in a situation. And sometimes it's really hard for me to evaluate when I'm in a situation because my emotions have taken over. And now I'm just spewing whatever.
And you don't have to own it.
Right.
And when you say, well, that's just my personality, it's not. It's
Right.
not who you are.
Mm-hmm. So separating that.
You've got to separate it. And that's difficult, but at the same time, you have to have that little part of you that stands up and says, men compartmentalize. Women don't do that too well.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to take a lesson from the man and put it in its proper place and
sit with it and look at it
right
logically.
Yeah. When I was going through hard times, what I would do was I would visualize that negative whatever coming at me, and I had an imaginary bat, and I would just bat it right out the window and let it go into the
I like
ethers
that.
and let them take care of it, or let the ethers take care of it,
Mhm.
not them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just cast it
Right.
away. Release is not easy, but it's the most important part of shadow work. And that's kind of what all these, the theme we keep coming back to, all these dark goddesses that we're dealing with, goddesses who have, had really traumatic situations. These are your shadow work goddesses. And when Tish had mentioned Rhiannon, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna do Rhiannon. I knew nothing about Rhiannon, and now I want to cling to her.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, you got the stuff I need. I need the stuff that you got. So it just really been a wonderful time researching her, and when I research a particular goddess, I always invite that goddess, to show me what you want me to show them.
Right.
So, oh dear.
She's petrified of it.
Thomason.
Wanna come over here?
See, I like the one that showed me fear.
Thomason.
They can pick up on your fears, though.
But
She knows you're scared of it.
I'm blocked.
Let me come and get her. Come on,
I
sweet
have the
girl.
jewelry. I have shiny stuff.
Come on.
Shiny
Toddle
stuff.
off. Toddle off. Why don't you go clean your feathers? See, your feathers are a mess.
Thank you.
You're okay.
You're welcome.
Well, what I've
See,
seen,
that's not your responsibility, or that's not your personality. That's a trauma response.
what I've seen to have picked up from this is that you should. It's not about what has happened to you. It's how you are deal with your responses on. It's not what has refined you.
Right. These things, and I tell people this all the time. These things happen to you. These things are not you.
Yep.
These things happen to you. These things are not you. But
It's not what defines you, is what I was
Right.
getting
Right.
at.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It doesn't define you don't have to give them that victory. And I think that's where we have to work on being proactive instead of reactive. So you kind of got to program yourself before things happen, because that's what I was saying. Once it happens, and for the ladies, those emotions start, we kind of lose track of, no, wait, I'm supposed to be working on this. So you kind of need to, you've got to be doing your work. You've got to be doing your work, Witch. You've got to be doing your meditations. You've got to be doing your, even if it's something as simple as lighting a candle in the morning. Something that is focusing you and reminding you, hey, I'm this, I'm not that. And then kind of walking yourself through those situations before they happen. So you're telling yourself, I'm going to deal with it like this. I'm not going to deal with it like that. I'm going to deal with it like this time. And there'll be times we do it. There'll be times we don't.
Well,
It's just like at the end of the evening, when I get ready to go to bed, I'll light a candle. And it's like it become a habit for me, but all I can feel negativity just leaving. I'll say, all negative stuff that happened to me today, please leave my presence. And I'll just meditate for a few minutes, and next thing you know, it's just like I can feel it just going. And afterwards, I feel so peaceful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll say, thank you, my goddesses, for taking that negativity away, and I just feel real peaceful. And it's something I've been doing for the last few months now. It's like a nightly thing. I have to do it.
Good. That's a good habit.
Yeah.
I'm going to use an example of manifesting, okay? And whatever you focus on, that's what you're going to manifest.
That's where your energy goes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's you're going to make it bigger. And I've gone through horrors, okay? And I'd get maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep at night. I'd wake up and whatever. And what I've done is I have to change where my thoughts are going, take them away from here. And one thing that works with me is I do use affirmations, and I use affirmations, and even for a while there, I would wake up and it's like, okay, list the things that make you happy or the things that you love. And I couldn't think of one until I got up and put a paper and started writing. And then after that, I could just bring them to my mind. But, it's kind of like you got to get away. Go watch the television, you know.
It's like a block.
Yeah.
It becomes a freeze, a thought freeze. And, that's why you always, deep breaths so that, you can get to the next thought. Yeah. It definitely becomes a block.
She is definitely strong, because I always, when I have a problem, I'll pray to her. I'll look at the moon and I'll talk to her. Every time I see the moon, I talk to her. Every time I pray to her and told her, please help me. Every time I finish the spell out, it's like heaven.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
That's why I want to learn about her, because I pray to her.
Yes, I have too, and that's why
I'm
I
like
want to learn
drawn
about
to
her.
her. So.
And honestly, she never really crossed my radar other than the Stevie Nicks song. And so I'm so glad, Tish.
Yeah.
An interesting
love.
thing that I picked up last night was there's a woman in Australia that is in politics or something, but she took on the name Rhiannon because when she and her husband divorced. So I thought that was interesting.
So the goddess Rhiannon encourages us to ask for what we need. And I think that kind of goes back to that beginning of the story where he was, hey, I was trying to catch you. Why didn't you stop? You didn't ask me. So she is waiting for you to ask. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm asking you to stop, but that's not going to happen, is it, Mr. Rooster?
She might be a goddess, all magic, but she can't read our minds. She doesn't know what we want.
So ask for what you need. Stay committed to your truth. Stay committed to your truth. Oh my gosh. Pursue what makes us fulfilled.
Happy.
Yeah, fulfilled. This is my thing. This,
Focus on it.
yeah, the making the
Yeah.
stuff. There are so many days where I'm like, I'm just so going to quit this day job. It is interfering with my magic. But, focus on what makes you feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
That's where your power is. Because when we fill ourselves up with that, that's our power. That's what we can use to manifest. Bear your burdens with grace. I need to bear my burdens with grace. I bear my burdens with.
Oh, yeah, that's for me.
I gotta clean this, and I gotta do
Yeah,
that.
I do that.
So, it's just not pretty. Imagine how much more prettier we would all be if we bore our burdens with grace.
Yes.
I mean, and there's got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance between the being still and being silent. Because there are times that you need to get your back up.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know?
You gotta vent.
Yeah, you gotta vent.
You got to
You
vent
can't bottle stuff up because
No.
then one day you'll just explode on the wrong person.
on the wrong person.
You know,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it'll be
we
bad.
know nothing about that.
This is
She's-
bothering you. Just like,
No,
your phone.
She also says that you don't need to carry these burdens alone. Okay, she's saying she's there, Leon's there. We've got people in our lives. Okay? Even if it's just the cat. You don't have to bear these burdens alone. And I really feel like she's saying, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm here. Let me carry some of this. So now we all know we want to work with Rihanna
Yes.
very much. So working with Rihanna, I always say this. You guys are probably getting tired of hearing this. Got to develop that relationship with her. That comes through research. That comes through reading. That comes through, invitation. That comes through speaking with her. How do we get ourselves focused and ready in the right state of mind? Set up the altar. So, set up an altar or a shrine. Now, this says she really loves the forest and woods. It's not always practical for us to be in the forest and woods, but if you can, or if you're out in the forest and woods, that would be a good time to connect with her. But she does like forest materials, natural materials like wood or stone. Obviously, she appreciates images of horses, birds. She's pictured as dressed in gold candles, and pure white flowers. These are all things that she really appreciates. And like I always say, if we're going to go to meet a new friend or a new person, we might want to know something about them. We
Yeah.
might want to bring them something that hey, do you know if they like such and such? And she also likes soft music. She loves music. So, if you can have soft music playing in the background. So that's kind of what your altar would look like. She appreciates being addressed at night with the moon high in the sky. Now, I don't think that you have to wait. Things happen to us all day, all night, whatever. But that's kind of her thing, or her
When she's the closest to you.
yeah. I was gonna say veil being the thinnest
Yeah.
maybe with her, but so so I cannot not notice the moon.
Me either. I'm drawn to it.
Yeah. I see that meme on Facebook all the time. Oh, look at the moon. Doesn't matter what phase it is in. I'm always like, oh, the moon. We were sitting down at the cedar tree, the fairy tree last evening, had a little fire, and the moon was shining through the cedar tree. I was like, oh, and casting moon shadow.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Just perfect. Offerings to Rhiannon. Cakes, honey, and mead. So, and of course, mead is made with honey.
Mhm.
So, I was like, oh, cool, I have honey. Cakes, honey, and mead. Other items to set on your altar, horseshoes. And then it talked about that she appreciates acts of service. So, if you have an opportunity to work with horses, or injured horses, or obviously anything to do with horses, and also needy children. Working with children obviously has a place in her heart. So I think the acts of service are my favorite. Because that's something that shows an immediate effect in this dimension, and something.
I can't have the cigarette.
Oh no! I gotta stand by. Go that way.
I'm seeing the cigarette return.
No. She's like, none of you ladies brought treats. I'm just wanting you to know we made note of that.
I just, my mind goes, But when she was at the gate, she was performing an act of service.
Yeah.
One, she
Yeah.
was carrying people like she was the horse to
Exactly, yeah.
the thing. Although not everybody accepted her to carry them. And the other thing is, by telling everybody what she supposedly had done, it's like when you're going through something, it's easier to talk to someone that has already gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
And think of all the mothers back then that lost children, and so I think that could be a service.
Mm-hmm. A time of consolation could have come out of that.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey, da 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 da, and there could have been a time of healing and comforting because of that. That's why I love Julie so much. She sees all the cool stuff. Consider the ways you can honor your chosen path. So, our spiritual path. What are things that you can do to stay true to that, to honor that? And I think that kind of goes back to the little things that I was talking about, like lighting the candle, just remembering within yourself that there are no mundane things. We're going to stir the coffee docile, and we're going to use affirmations, and we're going to call in that positive belief. Just everything. People would probably say, "Well, I might be obsessive compulsive." I always want to do things in 3s or 7s, or because I'm tied to that, the magic of that.
Yeah.
So
I think you can honor your path. I keep talking, I'm sorry.
no, you're fine.
But I think there are so many ways to honor your path. And one of them is, as I said, whatever you focus on grows. And, read well, in which, all right, I can go on the computer and get all these fabulous witchy songs and rubbing elbows with like-minded people. When you go out to nature, take some bird seed or something and give back to the mother, you know, by maybe bird seed or even a little water if there's no water around for the animals. Yeah.
Yeah, just making it not having, oh, this is my time where I do magic. No, it's all magic.
Yeah.
What we're doing all the time should be honoring and should be magic and should be in our thoughts.
Well, look at this.
Yeah.
Really, just, you don't have to say anything, and just sitting out here in nature, the breeze so beautiful and the sun coming on, and having this.
Yes.
You know, it's I always say artwork, but it's yeah, I'm not the only one. Look at all of this push.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's to it.
this definitely brings me out of the closet just a
Yes.
little bit, out of the witchy room closet.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, you know, we're kind of lacking, and I'm very grateful for everyone who comes, but I always wish we were backing them up in the field, because I know there's like-minded folks out there.
Yeah.
And I love doing this, and I always feel so much better when I'm, you know, with you folks and like-minded folks, and learning together, being accepted together, and that was always my biggest goal for this. Is, you know, but you know, it's like, how do you get the word out? How do you?
Well,
You know?
I found you because Jean, my daughter, she found you evidently on, I don't know, Facebook, or whatever. She found you somewhere. We came here. We had to come and saw you. And then it's like maybe a year later, my other daughter, Gail, saw you, and she said, Mom, I think you'd like this. So I think also networking with people you trust.
Yeah. Definitely. And that's why, you know, this is kind of a little off topic, but if I don't remember to mention it now, I will. That's why I'm always asking people, hey, check in when you're here. You're on your phone, check in. Leave a review. Share my stuff on your pages. You know, now not everybody can. Some witches are still in the closet. And, you know, their families are on their pages. But you know, those who can, you know, let's do that ripple effect. Let's get it out there. But okay, I digress.
Also correcting people that have totally wrong ideas of what it is.
Well,
It's hard to
There's always
do.
little breadcrumbs. I noticed that on my own Facebook, that I'll just leave little,
Thank you.
my thoughts. I'll type out there. Whereas at
Wait,
one
stop
time,
for just a minute.
that kind of got to my husband a little bit, because he's very private and withdrawn, and he's like, you know, why are you putting this out? And this came out in one of our therapy sessions. The difference in our Facebooks, and my therapist even told me, because my therapist watches my Facebook. She's on my Facebook, but she says, well, you know, I do notice that some of Tisha's posts reach people, and I don't even and I was a little bit aware, but I wasn't fully aware how many people I was reaching. I mean, and I would get private messages from people, you know, I have no clue exactly what you're talking about. I don't believe in the same thing that you're talking about, but it hit me in this way, and I needed to see that.
yeah.
So and I have now, probably a couple of years ago, I got some negative stuff from some people that I was going to burn at the stake and all of this the normal stuff that people
That
still
happens.
get.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago, and I kept going and I kept going. And I'm like, well, these are my thoughts. This is what makes sense to me. This is what I believe in. And then I'm finding so many people that, hey, what you posted really meant a lot to me, and it helped me, and I needed it. So it's keep throwing the breadcrumbs out there.
And
the little
now
snippets.
this is the fastest growing religion, I think, throughout the world, I think, or whatever.
Well, I don't even want to put the label of religion necessarily.
The spirituality,
Because there's so much
the fastest growing path.
Yeah,
in
but they
religion
say,
and what religion
That's
has
true,
been
yeah.
used for
Yeah.
been to control the masses.
right,
And we're trying to direct ourselves away
Away
from
from that.
that.
Yeah. Well, I just said that because that's what I read, you know.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah,
they're
and that's what
labeled.
they're putting on it
Right.
also. And I'm watching that a little bit, and I'm like, okay, y'all are trying to put that label
Yeah.
on our belief system, and to be aware that they're trying to put that label on the belief. Okay, so watch what they're going to try to do with it,
Yeah.
and we need to protect that.
Exactly, yes.
So now the next one says, are you being true to yourself? So there was a time, I don't know, a couple years back, because I came out, as the amethyst called in witchcraft. And then I kind of tried to morph in, scaled that back a little bit, and had a horrible ending year. I had a horrible year. And, so we're going over the sales, we're going over things, and Leon just looked at me and he said, you need to go witch or go home. You're not
Good advice, Leon.
you're not being true
To yourself.
to yourself and your past. Honor your past. So, so that
I
was,
just recently had something very similar
yeah?
hit me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Lisa and I were trying to go in together on something, and then I wound up because what drew people to me was my readings and things that I did. Lisa's still very drawn back in the broom closet, and I'm not.
Right.
So by me sitting there, okay, you're not comfortable with this, so I won't do this. I'm shutting myself off.
And you're
Yeah.
not being true to
And
yourself.
Lisa and I finally had a conversation. She says, I don't want you to be upset with me, but I think we rushed into things. And I said, I'm not upset. That was the sign that I needed, and I'm thankful for that. I do need to be on my own.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
to be the whole, you know. In a partnership like that, you kind of take the half and half. And
The half and half isn't working.
no,
Even
it's
as good of
you're
friends
two
as we
whole
are.
people.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because you can't, when you're true to yourself and your craft and your path, there's an attraction that goes out from you, from your aura. You start emanating, it's like, I need to go over there. I need to see that person. I don't know why, but I need to. And when you're, basically this little light of mine, and you're not letting that shine, then you don't, and that's why I had horrible sales. People were not attracted to what was going on. So, and this week, I'm actually going to take another step forward as morphing the craft, and as a businesswoman, I am part of the Powhatan Chamber of Commerce. So they've been inviting me and inviting me and inviting me to these luncheons they always do. I get the emails every month, probably for like 2 years now, and I haven't gone.
You know what? That makes me so happy.
So I'm gonna go. Their meeting is next Thursday at County Seat. So I'm gonna go, and I was like real bold about it. Like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna attend. I'm gonna do it. They're having basically it's called an enneagram practitioner. It's a personality practitioner. So I saw the word practitioner and I was like, that's my sign. It's time to go. But then I'm filling out the form and then it's like, and what do you do? Also, I'm a witch. And that's what I put on it because what else am I going to say?
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm real interested to see how it goes. So you're going to be thinking of me between 11 and 1 on Thursday because I'm going. And obviously they know who I am and what I do, and they've been sending me these invitations. So it'll be fun. It's gonna be fun. So, what obstacles prevent you from going your own way? So we talked about being true to ourselves. We talked about honoring our craft and our path. So what are the obstacles?
The obstacles, I think, are people.
Yeah.
People's opinion. You don't want to rock the boat. Just what people think or will say, and
So external validation.
right.
And what has happened in the past when we have rocked the boat, but then that goes back to the. Oh, I just had a brain fart.
I heard it from here.
Yeah.
Well,
That goes back to being true to ourselves.
Right.
Or encouraging that. So what if we rock the boat?
Yeah.
We're in a
That's
different
right.
time now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Our own ignorance can also be a obstacle that we need
I was
to
going to get ready to say, our
overcome.
own ignorance can be error. Yeah, he took the words right out of my mouth. Thank you, Leon.
You're welcome.
I think.
Also, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But for women, especially for women, all right, we have, I know I'm kind of still back, I'm, because of my age, all right.
Your generation. Yeah.
My generation. And what were we taught? Be a good girl. Well, what's a good girl? And what's a good wife? Shut up.
Exactly.
He's the head of the house, which, I'm sorry. For me, marriage is a partnership.
Yes.
Like I'll always say, don't walk in front of me. I may not follow. Don't walk behind me. I may not lead. Walk beside me and be my friend, my
Exactly.
equal. And, and that's, I've got a lot of that leftover mindset that I've had to fight through. And let's face it, there's some people that are fabulous. They're fabulous at cutting you down,
Yes.
and it's like you don't fight.
No, you back down.
You back down.
Yeah.
Don't stick up for myself. And those are obstacles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that's almost going back to being a trauma response.
Right.
So, that's part of my personality now. Now, I'm not saying that,
And to know when to respond and when not to respond.
right, when to respond, when to sit silent in that grace,
Yes.
and when to speak up.
Right.
And, because I think crazy things. I'm like, so what if I go to this thing Thursday and, I get someone who wants to get in my face right away and witness Christianity to me.
Right.
Because I'm gonna put out there what I am and what I do. But I'm not going to
You're
spend
not
the day
there.
fighting.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, if you come at me, I'm just gonna ask you, well, okay, so you're upset because I've spoken my past to you and I call myself witch. You're upset about that. I need to know where you're coming from. What do you think I am?
Yeah.
Then you're gonna hear all the fallacies. And it's like, but I'm not. And sometimes they won't even hear that when you explain back to them, but I'm not, I'm actually this, and this.
Micah 4:4. Read it. it's basically, I don't know how to express it. It's Micah in the Bible, 4:4. And it's basically that it's not, there's more to it. It's kind of like not putting you down. And I know I'm saying this wrong. I'm just going to say read Micah 4:4. Okay. Because I don't have the words.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
so who's got a phone? Look it up.
Oh,
I do have LTE right now.
Woo. So,
I changed services.
and you know, vending, you know, I'm out a lot amongst the people, and I've even had vendors come to me and be like, you know, if you just listed yourself as an herbalist, you'd get a lot less, you know, flack or whatever. They think, I can't do that. Well, why do you have to call yourself a witch? I said, because during the Spanish Inquisition, 9 million women, that doesn't include the men or the children, and that number's, Leon was saying that number's probably low. 9 million women, in the name of the patriarchy, were burned at the stake, drowned, tortured, raped, murdered, simply because they had influence over the rural people. So, for them, I must call myself witch.
Yes.
I must honor them for that.
Yes.
Because they were the wise women and men. They were the cunning people of the village who knew things about plants and were empathetic and knew how to listen and had some wisdom. So I will reclaim this word back, and you will use it right this time. Because that was a Holocaust that no one talks about. So in that, we'll see how things go on Thursday. Did you find it, Tish?
Yeah, it's. I'm trying to pull up just.
I was going to say, are you getting the
all
spinning
of
wheel of doom?
Micah 4. So the verse says, "But they shall set every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken."
in other words, you're under your vine. This is your place where you
Right.
belong, and you should not have any fear of being hurt because
Persecuted.
of it, persecuted because of it. Your vine, this is your vine,
Yes, this is my space.
right?
I've been to vends in Virginia Beach. It's always this one particular vend in particular. I'm not going to name names, but there is a church there that buys their congregation entrance, and they come in. It's a metaphysical event, and they come in and go booth by booth and start witnessing. Well, I'm the only vend table with witch. So I get all the visitors, and and I have said I'm not going to be disrespectful to you. I understand you believe what you believe, and that you really feel deep in your heart this is what you've been called to do. But I'm doing business here. This is my vine,
Exactly.
and I just need you to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what you're saying, this is my
You shouldn't have fear because of being who you are,
right.
walking your path.
Right. Because and everybody is walking their path, and I respect your path, and I
That's
respect your
right.
path. So long as you are not, harming another person, then that's your path. Go,
Exactly,
be true
yeah.
to it, honor it.
Yeah.
I should be given the same. I almost said luxury, because that's how it would feel to me. It's a luxury to not be, So you're a witch.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
I'm a witch. Yeah.
You were talking about obstacles. The majority of people want to fit in. That's why when you go to school, everybody wants to fit into that the popular group, and they do everything to do it. The way we all dress, maybe, or especially kids, because they're questionable.
Right.
And so that's kind of where our mentality has always been. You gotta fit in. You've gotta be accepted. Well, we're doing something that is not in a lot of people's mindset.
Right.
You know, it's not the way. But every journey starts with one step.
Right. Right.
And, you know, we're all taking that one step, 2 steps, etc.
And that's it, you know. And if we don't start calling ourselves what we are, then it's never going to change.
Exactly.
This, you know, I've had other witches say, "Oh, well, I could just never do that." And I'm like, "Well, you know what? Maybe you just are. You are in a place. It's going to affect your income. It's going to affect something. I totally understand that. But if you are in a place in your life, you know, outside of work or wherever, that you can pull that mantle on, do it, because it's never going to change until we do. Until we, yeah, I'm a witch. Oh, and she's a witch. He's a witch. Yeah, they're witches. Yeah. we're all
And have
witches.
you had friends that have said to you, just don't tell any of my friends?
And I
You
had
know,
that,
because
yeah.
they want to fit into that
Right.
particular group.
Right.
And if you are good friends with someone like us, you know,
I've had a lot of people say, you know, when you and I talk, this is how we talk.
right.
When you comment on my Facebook, do not bring metaphysical things up.
Right.
My family looks at my page. They're going to ask me about that. Now, I believe those things. I practice those things. But I can't discuss those things
Right.
here. Message me. I'm like, well, okay. Then that's what I'll do. But I get
It
that
makes
it...
me feel sad for them
Yeah.
Yeah.
that they're still stuck in that,
Exactly.
in
Yeah.
that place.
Yeah.
They're living in fear under their vine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Under their vine with their own family. Now, I'm real blessed. My mom is the most amazing person. She knows. Her extended family knows. You know, so, and she's never put me in a corner for that.
Yep.
Now, there are times that, you know, I'm not just blasting it in, you know, Christmas Day's face, you know,
Right.
or whatever. But she also has never, you know, come to me and been like, oh, you know, could you not be you around this certain, you know, group of family members, or, you know, I'm not saying she completely understands it. I'm not saying she completely agrees with it, but she completely supports me in allowing me to be me.
Yeah.
So,
See, I've been very lucky because I grew up in a metaphysical home. And I've got a sister that's a spiritualist minister. I was studying to be that. And when my mother was alive, we had a circle and would do medium.
My
You know,
grandmother
mediumship.
taught me everything I know. I grew up. She was like my mom. 'Cause my mom worked nights. She slept during the day. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and she taught me the way of Wiccan, and everything that I know is from her.
see, I want to say I grew up in a metaphysical house too because we were Catholic. All that
My
that you're
grandma had
doing
her
there,
circle, and
all
she
that you're
used
doing there. Yeah, that's
I
us.
see so many similarities in every
Oh, yeah.
religion.
Yeah.
And some of them I read my dad was a big Bible thumper, and I started red pilling him, and I'm not getting as much flack from him because I am the way that I've always since I was a little kid. I mean, you know, I would pick up stuff in the yard, mix it together, and I would try it out on my brother. Well, he lived.
Yeah, there you go.
And you know, my mom, that so far that's the most positive thing I have found from her is as chaotic as our relationship was, my mother never pushed any, yes, she took me to church and stuff. And my step-grandfather was the deacon of a church, but she never, it was just like a thing you did in the family, that was it, but it was never pushed on me. My dad's side tried to push things, look at my dad's mother, that's whose house I'm in, and I find her writings and I find her books and stuff, chakras and herbal books and stuff, and I'm like, and from finding my dad's mother's stuff and introducing him to that, and you're just like Mama.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so don't, throw and I probably could have, the day that I told him that the Bible was a nice storybook, thought he was going to keel over from a heart attack. I probably could have gone about that a little bit gentler, but I'm not getting as much flack from him now. And to tell him, hey, look at our ancestry, and he's starting to, so it's those back to those little breadcrumbs again.
And I think your breadcrumbs, the little snippets, the little pearls of wisdom, I think that really touches on the next part. How do we overcome these obstacles? And if ignorance and people's attitudes, thoughts, and ideas are the obstacle, then I really...
And their programming.
Then I think it's just, it's those little snippets, like I said, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to be who I am, but I'm not going to burn down the restaurant that day, with who I am, and a lot of times I have let people know me first. So I think, I think it's just that the changing of the programming, Hollywood, what they hear from the pulpit, is we're all worshiping Satan, and it's no,
Satan's just your scapegoat.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you had to have the parallel. You have your all loving, all perfect, never wrong God. So then you had to have this all wrong individual. So, but no, don't do the Satan thing. Don't do it. So, kind of in a closing, because Rhiannon has been here with us. I would like to just say this chant to her. Part of it is like to her. Part of it is really her speaking to us. Goddess of the moon, goddess of the underworld, goddess of earth and fertility, goddess of death. She says to us, I will show you how to overcome your enemies, how to work with the moon, and how to reveal the meanings of your dreams. So that's what she's saying to us, if we come to her and work with her. And there you go. That was awesome.
Very good.
You guys are just the best group ever. I say that every time, don't I? It's
Thank
the
you,
best group
Rhiannon.
ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhiannon.
Thank you. And Rhiannon, we thank you for joining us here today. We thank you for your essences and your presence that you have shared with us. We would ask that you would continue to reside in us and be a part of our continued work as we move towards our highest self. Go if you will, but stay if you must. Rhiannon, hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell.
Awesome.